Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the greatest show in social media history. I want to welcome you to a special edition of the War Zone. It's the monthly virtual fundraiser for me, Gerry Monroe. I'm running for HISD School Board District 9. We got to raise this money, man. And we can hard in the paint. Demetra and Donovan will be along in a few seconds. But we're going to get this thing crunk up so that we can get through it. Let's go, man. Say, man, I want to welcome you to a special edition of the War Zone and tell you thank you for tuning in. My good friends, Demetra and Donovan, will be right along in a few minutes, and we will definitely have a whole team in here because it's our monthly virtual fundraiser for me because I'm running for school board District 9. And we got to win this race, man. We got to win this race in order to get on the school board so that we can get some change and we can help these kids. If you want to donate, you can Zelle it to me at 832-933-3447 if you have Zelle. If you want to cash out, $ Gerry Monroe, GerryMonroe. I'm gonna get this started, man. The Houston Independent School District is in perils, and you guys can donate while we're talking. You can donate while we're talking. You can donate whatever you want to donate. Um, I will tell you that it takes money to run these campaigns, but the thing is you have to buy in, just like I have to buy in. I want to make sure that these kids get a fighting chance. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man, whether you understand it or not, that whenever your educational component is messed up, your crime rate goes up in your community. So we have to get the Houston Independent School District back where it was. Yeah, I'm one man. I got one vote, but my voice carries a lot of weight. And I clearly understand education like the back of my hand. So I want to make sure that you guys know that putting me on the school board is not beyond what you should do. Let me tell you something, man. For 9 years, I've been at it. I've been at it, fighting school districts all over the country and going at it like crazy to make sure that kids have a fighting chance and that your tax dollars are spent wisely in the school system. We have a lot of issues in the Houston Independent School District as far as education goes. And one of the biggest issues that we have right now, we're in the middle of a national superintendent search. Now, people ask me all the time, what do I think? I think that we shouldn't have done that right now. We should not have done that right now because of the pandemic, because of the fact that the Texas Education Agency, is in litigation with the Houston Independent School District. There is a possibility that they could take over the school district. The state of Texas could take over the school district. So I don't think the most qualified candidates are going to apply for the job, which is a great job. It's a hell of a job. But I think it's too big of a job for one person some days because this district is so big that at the end of the day, the best candidates are not going to apply. And, when you think about why this was done at this time, it's a lot of selfishness in people. When you take money from vendors and different folks like that, from the political side to run your campaigns, you end up being beholden to these people. And you think about it, would you apply for a job where you didn't know if somebody was going to come in and just buy the company from under you? No, you wouldn't take the job. So I don't think that we should have gone to a superintendent search at the moment because it's going to hurt us getting the most qualified candidate. I see my good friend Donovan Sadiq has popped in. What's going on, my brother?
I'm sorry I am late, but things happen on the weekends where these people just get into stuff. My neighbor's house, a drunk driver went straight through the front room.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
God.
Unbelievable. And that's right around the corner from where I live. So I was over there talking, and they're elderly people, but I made it. I made it. So I'm here. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's do this.
Well, the thing that I was talking about is we have a lot of issues in the Houston Independent School District, and one of the biggest issues is we don't have a permanent superintendent at the moment. Dr. Granita Lathan is leaving, going to Springfield, Missouri. So I don't think that the school board should have gone out on a national search because of the pandemic and because the Texas Education Agency may end up taking the school district over. I don't think the most qualified candidate will apply. I don't think that you're gonna get the best pool of candidates to apply for this job. And if you don't have the right person running the Houston Independent School District, then at the end of the day, we are not going to accomplish the goal, which is to give these children a highly qualified education and spend our tax dollars wisely. What do you think?
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with that because I sometimes wonder, we spend all of this money in bonds and stuff, and we want to support our children and give them a chance and get them prepared for the future. But I sometimes wonder, as the taxes keep going up, the results don't reflect what we're paying into the system. But yet I see the administrators making six-figure salaries, teachers are lacking of resources, but Houston, the fourth biggest city in America, where's the money going when it comes down to the fact of millions of dollars is being poured into the educational system, and we're not seeing a result, especially when it comes to our children. As we're paying this money, and it's mandatory money that you have to pay because, like the 5-star and myself, my children are grown, but yet because I'm a property owner, I still pay into this system, but yet I'm not seeing any results other
Well,
than poor test scores.
I tell you this, man. I'm glad you said that about being a property owner and not
Hmm.
having a kid in the school system. A lot of people are under the misconception that their voice in the school system is not heard because they don't have children in the school system. Well, that's not true because you pay property taxes to your school district. And therefore, that's why gentrification works the way that it works so well. Because when people move into the neighborhood, normally young people are moving into the neighborhoods, the black neighborhoods from other neighborhoods that are being gentrified. And they don't understand that the first thing that these young parents look for is a good school. They're not going to move into a community where a school is not performing highly. So the thing is, when you do that and you move into, say, a sunny side where some of the schools are not rated real high, then you're not going to send your child to the local school that's right around the corner from your house. You see what I'm saying? You're going to send them to the other side of town. I got some good friends that live on the other side of town, and you know they have good schools on their sides of town, and we have to question why these schools are being underfunded. One of the biggest issues in our district right now, they're working on the yearly budget. And we have our PUAs, which is basically the system that funds our classrooms. Well, they're going to have to cut into the PUAs because of the drop in the number of students that we have due to the pandemic. We've lost a lot of kids that either went to charter schools, private schools, or just moved away. So, they have to cut into it. And people are asking, how can we do it? We need to pay teachers more money. Well, let's just be honest. See, that's the one thing you're going to always get from me as a school board representative. You're going to get brutal honesty. And the thing is, the numbers are not working. When you don't have the kids in the seat and the money is not coming into, the school, then it's not going to work. So you have to be honest with yourself when you understand the numbers, and we have to cut back, which right now I'm hearing people say, well, the teachers union is not saying anything. Well, you know why they're not saying anything? Because they're in bed with the district. The only thing the teachers union cares about is its membership and the money that it gets from its membership. So they'll cut the side deals, you know, and end up sticking out the teachers who think they're fighting for the best interests of them when they're actually not. So should they cut into the PUAs? It's not a should, Donovan. They don't have a choice. The money is not there. The state of Texas is not funding schools the right way. And that is a problem with us right now. We're in a legislative season. The person that's over the legislative side for the Houston Independent School District, I'm not very comfortable with them. I don't think they really kind of know what they're doing. So we're the only school district in Texas who has a interim superintendent while we're going through a legislative season and an inexperienced person that's dealing with the legislative side. So therefore, who's going to fight for us to get more funding, which the state of Texas has so much money in the rainy day fund just alone that is unreal, but yet the money's not coming down to the school system, man. So no, I want people to understand, Demetra, Al, you, me, we don't have to have a kid in the school system to have a virtual, not a virtual, but a vested interest in our school system because we're taxpayers. So therefore, every single school that is open should be performing at the highest level. It should be funded at the highest level. And we shouldn't have to be worrying about our school system. My good friend, Demetra Coulter, I caught her and she had forgot. And I got to her and she got here a little late, but she here. So how you doing, Mama?
So hello, everyone. I want to apologize for me being a little late. I got caught off guard. Saturday is usually my day off from everything. I have absolutely nothing to do on Saturday. So I was maxing and relaxing, as you guys can see. I got my hat on because I got my Sealy braids underneath here. And, Al was like, go ahead and do it. Throw yourself together real quick. So that's why I'm here. So anyway, we're going to spend the next couple of hours here with you, really in hopes of raising some money to help Gerry get to the school board, because we know that it takes a copious amount of money to win any election. And the last time that Gerry ran, his opponent raised $60,000, which is a hell of a lot of money for a school board seat. And so we need to help him get, I know we won't get 60 unless there's a benefactor out there. I don't know. Somebody want to drop that kind of money, we with it. But in the meantime, we got to raise as much money as we can all the way up until November to help get him elected to that seat. And so we are going to be asking, a bunch of questions. And we also welcome you guys to share this fundraiser so that everybody else, especially people who live in the area, can see what's going on and thoroughly vet Gerry as a candidate and see if he cuts the mustard as a school board member, which we already know he does. But this is your opportunity to ask questions. And so what are we doing, fellas?
I'm ready for y'all to grill me, man. If you are tuning in, I'll tell you this. This is not scripted. This is not scripted. I don't know what these two good people are going to ask me. I just know education. So therefore, I'm ready for whatever comes down the pike. And, like I say, some of the biggest issues is funding. Some of the biggest issues is the fact, how do I feel about what do I look for in a new superintendent? So I'm ready for anything y'all shoot at me, man.
All right, so I have something for you. Anybody who's been following the news in the last couple of weeks or so, we've seen a lot of children within these school districts have a whole bunch of heinous things happen to them. Specifically, there, I think it was in Arkansas. Arkansas, where the teacher made the little boy dig in a toilet, amongst a whole other host of things that are in a toilet. You guys use your imagination, because she felt like he put too much toilet paper in the toilet. So you as a school board member, what would be your take on it, and what would you suggest take place to help avoid that situation if there's anything that can be done?
The one thing I hate is when something happens, especially in the Houston Independent School District, they put out this blanket statement about the safety of the children is of utmost importance. They put the same statement out every time. Now, do we live and die by that? We should. I don't care what color this child was. That should have never happened to that baby. And that's not going to happen on my watch. You know, it hasn't happened on my watch, just being an advocate and an activist, because I don't sit quiet when children are abused in any manner, whether they're regular students, special ed students. I don't have the stomach to sit quiet when children are handled in that manner. Now, as a school board trustee, definitely have a conversation with the superintendent, whoever that may be. Let's get this thing up to speed. One, we need to go back into how do we vet, new teachers. What is the process for vetting these new teachers? I know you go through the HR process, but are we realistically looking for everything that we see that we're dealing with across the country when we're dealing with children in school and safety? So, I think we have to be careful of the people that we put in our classrooms. We have to be careful of the people that we put on our campuses. And that not only goes for teachers, that goes all the way down to the custodians. We have to make sure we got the right people on our campuses at all times. Now, some things should just be zero tolerance. If something happens of that nature, then however you need to work it out as far as changing the policies and procedures and how you deal with people like that. A person that does that to a child should never work in the educational setting ever again. There should be charges filed, and that person should actually possibly go to jail if that's what it boils down to, stripped of their teaching certification. The same way if you have an issue with a law enforcement agent that has really done something erroneous, they should have a lien put against their badges so that they cannot be law enforcement officers anymore. So the same thing with a teacher, zero tolerance, change the policies and procedures to make sure that our kids are safe 24/7.
Hey, Cheryl Chandler has a question. She says, good day, but do you have a problem removing a principal that bullies and causes a school to have a toxic environment within a school?
Well,
Will
first
you
of
be
all,
transparent?
Let's say this. I clearly understand the job functions of not a superintendent. I understand the job functions of a superintendent, but I also understand the job functions of a trustee. That is beyond my scope as a trustee, but it's not beyond my scope as a trustee to have a conversation with the superintendent and administration to let them know this is what's going on at this school. You need to look into it. An unsafe school, a school where there's bullying going on by the principal, the teachers, whoever on the campus, is a school where there's going to be a lack of learning. When you look at your test scores, when you look at your school performance, you can look at a lot of different things to see where something's not right over here. Now, bullying on a campus, zero tolerance. I don't care who it's coming from. Children shouldn't have to go through it. Teachers shouldn't have to go through it. Staff members shouldn't have to go through it. But I would have a conversation with the administration if the school is in my district. And I will say that there are some schools in District 9 where you have principals that have a history of bullying their teachers, treating their children horribly. And I believe that those principals and that particular principal should be removed and put somebody there that's going to have the respect that it takes to sit in the seat that they sit in. I believe they should be removed, but I can't remove them as a trustee. But I would definitely have a really, really serious conversation with the superintendent about what's going on those campuses.
And then let me do a follow-up with that. A lot of the budget for the schools for the maintaining of the schools. And I noticed that a lot of money, and I know people say, well, that's really not important. I think it is important because when you're in an institution of education, you should feel like you're there to learn. Now, I graduated Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. Beautiful campus, the aesthetics look great and stuff like that. Now, as we know, a lot of these schools now, especially the high schools, they look like prisons. What are you going to do about changing the aesthetics of your district when you get elected, and making it look like a institution of learning versus a prison or an institution of rehabilitation?
Man, let me tell you something. I don't like how some of these schools were designed. We went through a $2.89 billion bond program to rebuild schools a few years back, and we're at the finishing phases of finishing some of these last schools. And I didn't like the design, say, of my old high school Yates. When they brought the initial design, I looked at that and I said, man, that looks like a prison facility. I'm being honest with y'all. No, we're not doing this. See, because when you put them in that mind frame, first of all, you make the building look like a prison. Now, once the kids get in there, you treat them like model prisoners. So what do you think you're going to get? One, it's going to be tough to change the designs of schools because they're built. Let's just be honest. They're built. We don't have the money to go back in and fix some of this stuff, but we can fix the inside. You know, the schools, you got middle schools on the south side of Houston where kids have to walk down one side of the hallway when they go somewhere in the school. Well, they do that in the prison system. Now, let's cut that out. They should be able to congregate in the hallway and move just like they would normally move in the school system. You have to change the culture of that school. You have to get people inside of that school that, one, they care about education, but the child is more important than anything. You treat them with respect. You treat them with kindness. If you do this with children, they will reciprocate it. They will give it back to you. And now you can get to a good place where these kids trust you. They're going to do everything you ask them to do. So that whole prison mind frame goes out of the window.
Yeah.
Sensitivity training. You know, we hear that a lot when it comes to corporations. Usually when there is some racism or something that's insensitive that takes place. What do you think sensitivity training should be used for? Should it be used in cases of racism within the school district, or, you know, it says something that's insensitive? Like, what are your opinions on sensitivity training? What should it actually be used for?
We go through personal development in the Houston Independent School District. Now, I don't know what that entails, but a part of personal development training should be sensitivity training. And I'm going to be honest with you, when you don't have the patience that it takes to be a teacher, you're not going to be a good teacher. You have to have some level of sensitivity to clearly understand that you have to meet the child where the child is at. You know, when you're impatient and you're not sensitive to certain situations that deal with kids, it took me a long time to understand that, because I was one of those guys that made it out of the Black community. Oh, I thought I had made it, and I ran to the suburbs. But every day I was running back to my neighborhood. So, you know, as I got back to my neighborhood, because I left the suburbs, I understood that all children are not exactly where you want them to be. So therefore, you have to develop a level of sensitivity in how you deal with them. You have to develop some patience. And one of the biggest issues, and I get it with people, is that they become very impatient with children. I represented a family, and this 4-year-old kid was in pre-K, and every day they would send him home. Oh, well, he's just running around the classroom. And you know what I told the principal? I said, you know what? If you can't handle a 4-year-old kid as a teacher, you should not be a teacher. Do you understand that is a 4-year-old baby? And they're going to do what 4-year-old babies do. Understand, they don't have the attention span that you want some days. You know, some kids are withdrawn. You have to have a level of sensitivity to clearly understand what it's going to take to penetrate that child. And then once you develop that, then so be it. We'll succeed in what we're trying to do. which is educate the whole child. But I think it needs to be incorporated if it's not into personal development, and it needs to be of the utmost importance.
You have a question here. Ms. Smith, how you doing? Say she wants to know, would you as a board member go from door to door trying to keep kids from dropping out?
I do that now, and I'm not a board member. So why would I change it? I'm being honest with you. Whether it's going door to door, whether it's on Facebook, and I challenge my babies on Facebook, open your laptops, do your assignments. You have to make school, how can I put this? Find a way to make school sexy. What you mean make school sexy? Make it attractive to children. Now, I'm not a child anymore, so I don't know what kids like some days. Let's have conversations with our children. Let's go door to door and find out, first thing, why did you drop out? Oh, you'll be amazed at some of the stories that you hear. Man, they don't have nothing there for me. I'm not going to college, Mr. Monroe. You know, I wanna learn, carpentry, but they don't have this in my school. Okay, so let's go back to the school. What would it take to develop a carpentry class? Something in line with that. Let's wrap our mind around that. Okay, most schools are underutilized, and what I mean by that is they don't use every single classroom. Okay, so you have this empty classroom over here. What do we have to do to turn that into something for children that want to be involved in carpentry? What do we have to do to turn that other classroom into something for the kids that want to do art? You have to make school sexy again. You have to make school the place where the children want to be. Now, I'm going to make y'all laugh. I went to high school every single day. I never missed a day of school. I didn't go to every class, but I never missed a day of school because school was where everybody was. School is where all the fun was happening. See, the one problem we have with schools and kids drop out, schools are not fun. Somebody said schools should not be enjoyable. No, that's a lie. Schools, you should want to go to Miss Ward's class. I used to love my Miss Ward. She taught biology. She was one of the toughest teachers on the campus, but she did not scare Gerry Monroe. And you know why? Because I'm going to make you love me even though I'm half crazy at 14 years old. And we challenged each other in that classroom. I challenged her level of authority. She made sure that I understood that I'm in charge of this classroom, Mr. Monroe, but I'm going to make this enjoyable for you, and you're going to learn something along the way. I was there every single day. In her class, for sure, every single day, because it was an enjoyable situation.
Yeah, and that's a true statement. I mean, I loved going to school. That's where all my friends were at. That's where all the action was at. Like you said, I didn't go to every class. My mom used to get my report card and say, how are you 25 days missing here? And you didn't miss a day in history in the classes that I wanted to be in. So yeah, we got to make it sexy again. But with what's going around in the world, you have a rise of white supremacy that is happening. And as we know, white supremacy and, just supremacy in general, racism is taught at home. So, but the schools play a vital part in how people perceive other groups. What would you do in regards to increasing ethnic studies within the school district within Houston? I'm not familiar with Houston and, if they have that, but here in California, they push Latino studies really, really big, Asian studies and ethnic studies to give everybody an idea of other people's experiences here in America.
I think in Houston Independent School District, we definitely have new Mexican American studies, and we're supposed to have African American studies. Okay, if you're doing that on the campus level during the course of the day, that's cool. I think we got to use our after school programs. We got to bring some folk in here, like a Demetra K that's Afrocentric, that clearly understands our history. And we have to make this an after school program for those that want to participate. But don't just open it up for the kids, open it up for the parents. I think the parents need to be inclusive into this also, because a lot of our parents, African American, are disconnected from their history. They don't really know their history. So therefore, they can't reinforce what's being taught in the classroom when the kid comes home with work after school, because they don't know about Malcolm X. They don't know about Martin Luther King. They don't know about Marcus Garvey. So we have to educate. In order to educate the whole child, you're going to have to educate half the parent. That's how I feel it. When I say half the parent, two-parent household, let's grab one. We're going to educate one of these. And what would it feel like to sit in that classroom, Demetra, after school, an after school program, but not only have the kid and the parent in there learning about African American history? Now, in African American history, you're gonna learn, of course, we're gonna know all the horrific stuff that is going on. You can't hide that if you're going to teach history. We have to tell the truth. But there's so much great dynamic stuff that has happened on the African American side that children don't know anything about, that these books and this curriculum is not going to teach them during the course of the school day, that somewhere they have to learn it. I used to seek the information outside of the school building. You see what I'm saying? So I think the curriculum has to be, and we try to fight to make sure that we get the right things in new curriculums, but a lot of times they miss the mark and they don't put what they need to put in there. So I think we got to utilize our after school programs to be able to educate the whole child and half the parent.
And a quick follow up to that, when we were going to school, you guys remember you used to have to get up every morning, or at least sometime in the week, and do a current event. And a lot of that is lacking in schools in what's going on right now. You have young people that don't have a clue what's going on because they're playing PlayStation all day when they get home. Well, what is your stance on, kind of putting in a current event or bringing that back in regards to keeping the kids current on what's actually happening in their world as well as what's happened in the past?
Those are conversations. I mean, if we didn't spend so much time on test prep, if we didn't spend so much time on retesting in our schools with these STAR tests, to me, that don't really account for anything, then you could have those separate conversations in a classroom to discuss current events of what's going on. I mean, a lot of kids, they don't know, how to register to vote, which in our school system, you can come in to register those 18-year-old kids to vote. Are we really teaching them about government in government class? Or are we just going over the stuff that needs to be on the STAR test? You see what I'm saying? So we've got to have some major conversations. We got to bring this stuff back in so that these kids can grab it. They're like sponges. Kids are like sponges. They absorb what is there and what they're available to get. Let's just get straight with it. So whatever you're spoon feeding them, that's what they're going to learn. But if you're not teaching it to them or giving it to them, they can't learn it. They won't learn it. It's not that they won't learn it. They can't, because it's not there for them. They need to learn about government. They need to learn about what's going on in the world so that their voice can be heard just like everybody else's. Ms. Smith asked, what will it take to get some of these programs back? With the way that the money's set up for the Houston Independent School District right now, it's got to come from outside sources. You've got to have some nonprofits, some private businesses, your local colleges that are willing to partner with the schools. That's why communities in school, the community in school model is so important. We got to get people to come back in to try and help us get some of these programs back into the school. Now, if you're in the building phases of building a new school, then all you need to do is, one, figure out what type of programs need to go into the new school. And let me tell you how they bamboozled. Say they built a new Sterling. This is a question I asked to the superintendent one day. They built a new Sterling, and they asked me, what you think? I said, I'm not impressed. Man, that's a beautiful building. I said, I give you that. No doubt. It's a beautiful building. I said, but let me ask you a question. How many teachers were in the old Sterling? Oh, 100. Okay, so how many teachers are in the new Sterling? 100. What's your point, Mr. Monroe? Well, that tells me you didn't put nothing new in the school because you got the same amount of teachers. So all you gave us was a new shell. So if you didn't put anything in there, then there's nothing that you brought to the new school that's going to make it sexy and attractive. So in order to get some of these programs back, we're going to have to get some partnerships and some friends outside of the school district to come in and help us with these things. So business owners, entrepreneurs that want to teach carpentry, that want to teach, culinary arts, that's not in every school, then come on in. Let's figure out something. Let's make it work. Partnerships is what we need outside of the school district.
So I want to go back to you talking about teachers and school being fun. I'm also one of those people that I learn better when the environment is a little bit more light and fun and current and things like that. So do you think a teacher can be taught to be fun, or is that something that comes natural?
I think teachers by nature are fun-loving creatures. I think that they have outgoing personalities. They're doing something. 90% of the teachers that I've ever met have always wanted to be teachers since they were kids. So they enjoy their profession. Everybody doesn't smile. Everybody is not jovial the same way. But I'll tell you this, it's something that they wanted to do. They have the passion to do it. Now, can you teach somebody how to be fun? Yeah. If you can teach a dog to do tricks, you can teach somebody how to be fun. That's what personal development training is for. We got to get this thing where we create these educational robots through personal development. This is the type of teacher you need to be, and this is what it is. No, I learned one thing being a manager in corporate America. You can't manage everybody the same way. So therefore, you can't teach every kid the same way. You have to make it fun. And if it's fun, you're going to have less disruptions in your classroom. Your campus is going to be the place where the kids want to be. They're enjoying themselves. You see what I'm saying? So now it becomes a fun learning environment, and kids buy into it faster than if you're trying to program them to be these robots who's being controlled by robots.
So my next question is this. We know that a lot of time, well, I guess probably it's a standard thing that teachers have an observation, whether somebody from the district will come in or the principal will come in and observe a teacher. Do you think their assessment is fair just by that one observation to sum up a teacher? Because a lot of times teachers get bad marks or, a lackluster report based off of that one observation per se. So what are your opinions on these the teacher observations, and do you think they're fair?
No, not all the time. I've represented teachers who have gotten low scores on their observations, and it was only because they had an argument with the principal at the last staff meeting. No, I don't believe that it is. I believe the teacher evaluation system in the Houston Independent School District needs to be overhauled, because a lot of days the person that's observing them doesn't have the expertise to even do it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've done a lot of things in the Houston Independent School District, and one of the things that I've been able to do is observe teachers. Well, you visited the school? No, I was sent there to observe teachers. Yes. And I also observed administrators observing classrooms. A lot of days they don't know what they're looking for. It's all about that test. So if a teacher has a different teaching style where they're reaching the children, you see what I'm saying? But it goes against what the administration wants, they'll get low scores. But at the same time, they're still achieving the goal. So some days they're fair in their assessments, but a lot of days they're not. And I think that the whole eval system needs to be revamped, redone.
So one last question. What role do the kids play in the teacher evaluation? Do their say-so have any weight? So let's say they say, I really like Mrs. Jones. I learned a lot from her. She's fun. What is their opinion? Where does their opinion come into the evaluation of the teacher?
Our teachers, our children, their voices are stifled most of the time. I believe that grown-up people in the Houston Independent School District some days just need to shut up, because the smartest people in the room is the kids. I'm being honest with you. You could have 5 degrees on the wall as a trustee, but some days you just need to shut up. You know why? Because you don't live in this environment every day. You don't deal with this environment every day. You don't deal with the classroom. If those kids can gravitate to a teacher, and just because you don't like them as an administrator, should that teacher go at the end of the year when their contract is up? No, you should listen to those children, but they don't want to give the kids a voice. We have a student congress. They've been bullying these kids since this student congress came about. And I fell in love with the student congress because on a lot of campuses, we don't have a student council, especially on the south side of Houston, where, it's predominantly African-American and Latino and Tiano kids. They don't want the kids to have a voice some days because, like I said, the kids are smarter than the grown-ups some days. So when it comes to the teachers, I believe my babies should have a voice. I believe that should be written into policy, that their voice, whether it's through surveys, voting, or however, should affect whether or not teachers are removed, administrators are removed. They removed my principal in 1986, 2 months before we graduated. This is the principal that I grew up with from the 9th grade. And if you go on our page, our alumni page, you will still see 35, 36 years later, people still talking about this man. He should have never been removed. But we didn't have a voice. So yes, these kids' voice should be heard when it comes to those matters.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer there. Let's go back a little bit. I know we kind of touched on it, but I think this is a very important question. We talk about the dropout rates within our schools, especially within the Black and brown communities. The dropout rate compared to the other groups, the Asian and the white kids, is night and day. Basically, when you look at it, we're dropping out at a higher rate because of all kinds of things, personal and at home. Vice President Kamala Harris had an approach that she took here in California to where she was holding the parents accountable for when the kids did not show up for school, and kind of basically her thing was just lock them up. The mother, just lock them up. What's your take on that kind of situation and that kind of policy to help keep our kids in school? Do you think that was a good policy based on it back when she did that, or what do you think we can do?
It was a horrible. That was a horrible policy. If a kid is not coming to school and you just lock up the parent, hold on. Why is that child not coming to school? Well, some days the kid can't get to school because when they got home yesterday, the parent was in jail. They're at home by themselves now. Some kids can't come to school because they don't have clean clothes. And they don't want to be teased. They don't want to be bullied because they wearing the same clothes they wore yesterday. Some kids don't come to school because they're in a homeless situation. Some kids don't come to school because they were in the middle of a pandemic and they're not on their side of town anymore. And now they stuck in grandma's house on the other side of town with no means of getting to school. It's a case-by-case scenario. You look at it, you find out the root cause of why these kids are not coming to school. You see what I'm saying? And now we have to figure out an alternative way to deal with it. It's just like, the laws that are in place. When I wrote a paper last night on mass incarceration. Is there a way around it? Sure it is. because everybody shouldn't be going to jail. So everybody shouldn't be going to jail for truancy, which is, in Fort Bend a couple of years ago, we found out they were running an illegal truancy court just to make money on. No, everything, even though it's a truant situation, it may not be exactly what it looks like. So we need to figure out what's going on with the child. And if you develop a relationship with your parents as an administrator, then that's easy to figure out. I liked Denzel Washington in the movie that I was in with Denzel back in the day about George McKenna. I liked the Joe Clarks. Get out of your offices, get into your communities, go to your children's houses and find out why they're not coming to school.
Exactly. And a quick follow-up to that, it kind of leads into this question as well. You have a lot of rules out there that say a kid can only go to this school because they live over here and live over there. There's been a rash of Black mothers that have been incarcerated. One recently for 5 years because she tried to register her child into another school district. As a school board member, what would you do to, the law is the law, we know the states, whatever, but the unjust of locking this woman up for trying to register her child in a better school district for 5 years, how would you address that situation in the aspect of why would that be a crime for her to do such a thing? And then we know other people as well do it, but when it comes to a certain group of people that do it, lock them up 5 years automatically.
The crime that's being perpetuated in the educational component when it comes to the issue that you just said is the Black and the brown community keep voting in the wrong people. Let's start right there. I want to be your school board representative for a reason, because that wouldn't happen if we can make people clearly understand one thing. Let's stop talking about equity in education and let's create equity in education. Let's make sure that where my tax dollars go in my community, that my school is up to par with the schools in River Oaks or on the west side of Houston. I can't be mad, excuse me, I can't be mad at white America on the west side because they get everything for their schools because they know how to advocate, send emails, fight the battles in school board meetings. When we're on our side of town, it's just we're allowing these schools to be operated and ran and funded the way that they're being funded. No, if that school over there has 1,000 computers, because we have dealt with the digital divide at that school, and we want to make sure those kids are learning on a different level, on my side of town, I want 1,000 computers in this school. You see what I'm saying? What we have to do, there's a blueprint in regards to how your educational component should look. Instead of looking down on the people from the west side, get off your behind and go walk through one of their schools and see what they got. Now go back to your school and now let's fight this battle to get everything that they got put inside of our schools. When you fight that battle, you're going to understand it wasn't the parents on the west side that screwed you. It was the school district that took those things up out of there. And they took them out so that the school could fail. So guess what? If we fight and we get back what we were supposed to have, then our kids can perform on the grandest level. Pre-K on my side of town is different than pre-K over there in Ted Cruz's district. They learn differently. They teach them differently. We create equity by stop talking about it and making it happen.
So just the other day, it was discovered that on a Zoom meeting with a student and a teacher in Palmdale, California, Los Angeles County. Basically, the teacher had a private meeting with the parent and the child because the child was not understanding, as a Black child, was not understanding what was going on. And so the teacher, I guess, was supposed to help them navigate through why he was missing so many days of school, this, that, and the other. And the teacher, I hate these ads. The teacher said the following. And now She thought the Zoom call was over, but it wasn't. She forgot to log off. And she said the following: these parents, and she was talking to somebody, I don't know who it was. These parents, that's what kind of pieces of shit they are. Black. He's black. They're a black family. Then it says, you taught him. Now, I guess she's talking to whoever it was about the mom. You taught him to make excuses that nothing is his fault. This is what black people do. This is what black people do. White people do it too, but black people do it way more. All right, so that's what she said on what, you know, they'll call a hot mic, if you will. She got in trouble and she finally resigned and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to ask you kind of an out of the box question. Do you think a teacher should get in trouble for something as egregious as that is, for saying something on their own time that they thought was not caught? They thought they were logged off. Do you think they should be in trouble for that?
100%. You're a representative of the school at all times. Just as well as we need to teach the kids that you're a representative of this school at all times. If that's the way you really feel, are you putting in the grandest effort to teach our children? Do you have the patience to deal with our children? It goes back to where we started at. Having patience, understanding, respectability comes with being a teacher. And if they say it on a hot mic away from school, they should be held accountable, and we don't need those types of people in our classrooms.
So can you also talk about teachers like that? Because to your point, you know, she said that on her own time where she thought she was logged off and all of that. Can you talk about the subtle or the hidden racism, if you will, because the teacher is white, the hidden racism and the effects that it actually has on our children being taught by racist teachers, regardless of, you know, what color they are, racist teachers and the children, because they may not be overt in how they feel. Like in a class, they might not say, hey, nigger, you know, but they might think it. But talk about the effects that even a subliminal message has on the children and the way the teachers actually interact with the children.
The effects on the child can be lifelong. It can have a negative effect on this child forever. To sit in a classroom and be berated, to be treated differently, to be segregated in the classroom, because I've even found kids segregated in classrooms. That will last for a long time. It will affect them for a long time. And if they're at a young age when this happens, it can affect them throughout all their schooling years, you know, from elementary, middle to high school. And then all of a sudden, you don't understand why this kid is acting out in the 10th grade is because of how he felt when something happened to him in the 3rd grade. Let me say this, because I've seen it on both sides. I'm pro-black all day. I tell it to anybody. Love my people. And we have to do a better job at vetting and screening these people. I think we need shock orientation when you want to be a teacher. You know, I used to run concession stands and all over the country. And I would bring in my crews at the beginning of the year for baseball season. And I would put them behind the concession stand and I would be the customer. And I want them to understand that you're always going to have somebody to come up to the counter that's very nice. They order their food and they're going to tip you a tip and good customer. Let's take care of them. But then you're going to have somebody come up to the stand and I'm going to order, I want a hot dog with chili with relish on it. You give me a hot dog with chili and cheese with no relish. So my people, this is shock orientation for me with my people, because I need to see how you react. They give me the hot dog, it's not done right. I take it and I throw it in their chest. What you gonna do? You can't come from behind that counter. If you come from behind that counter and you whoop this man, we lose our contract. You don't want me to lose $150,000 behind a hot dog. How you gonna handle this? You see what I'm saying? So the thing is we have to teach these teachers how to react when the situation is not exactly the way that they want it. If you do that and you find out where they are in shock orientation, some of these people will never make it to the classroom, Dimitri. They will never make it to the classroom because they will expose themselves in orientation. Now you know what you're dealing with. You see what I'm saying? The racism that occurs in education is unreal. Black America, you sit there and you like, yay, stop. Because you got some black teachers just as worse as them white ones. And they hate black children the same way that some of the white ones hate them. A racist of any kind should not be in a classroom. Anybody that treats a kid indifferent should not be in a classroom. That's how I feel, and I ain't taking it back.
I agree with you. One of the teachers that left a mark on my mind, a negative mark, was a black teacher. His name was Mr. Piper. He's dead now. Not sorry about it at all. And that's just how horrible he was to me. 11th grade, he gave me a D on the paper. I deserved a B, and I know I deserved a B because the girl next to me had the same exact answers I did. I asked Mr. Piper, why, in front of the whole class, why did you give me a D when me and her have the same answers? And he looked shocked, like I even, had the nerve to question him. He pulled me outside and says, I gave you a D because you're black and you're going to have to work hard and to earn certain things in life, and nothing's ever going to be given to you. He was married to a white lady, so secretly he hated his own people. But yeah, there's a lot of teachers like that exist. But let me ask you this really quick, just a follow-up. Do you think a teacher who is secretly racist that nobody ever knows about it can be a good teacher?
No. One, I would never trust them to be a good teacher because they shouldn't be in my classroom. If you are racist, a school is not where you need to be.
So I guess what I'm asking is so if, let's say I'm Mrs. Klan, right? I'm Mrs. KKK.
Okay.
Klan rallies at night, but in the daytime I come and I teach the curriculum and I'm good at that. Do you think one has an effect on the other? Can I still be a good teacher and be Mrs. Klan at night?
No, because your ideologies are going to seep into my classroom. I don't even want to take the chance. No, I mean, think about it. If you found out I was selling drugs today, would you allow me to run for the school board? No, I don't believe they should be in the classroom at all.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. This is from Kiki, a longtime listener of ours and a supporter. And by the way, thank you, Kiki, for the donation. She donated. Do you feel that once kids reach high school level, their courses should be geared more towards their career interests instead of being uniform?
I think that should start before high school. Mm-hmm. I think we kind of know where our babies are headed to before they get to high school. Now, we have to also understand that every kid is not going to go to college. It's not going to happen. That's the realization of the world. Every kid is not going to go to college. So when they hit high school, 9th grade, let's sit down with the counselor. Let's figure out what this plan going to be. You going to go to college, the military, or what's your plan? Trade school, entrepreneur, whatever that may be, let's start building that plan around that in the 9th grade. You see what I'm saying? I know everybody wants to pump these kids to go to college. And you got folks in the school district, they should be going to college and we're going to get college readiness. Man, I wasn't ready for no college. When I graduated, I'm ready for it now. I wasn't ready for it then. I was sick of school. And some kids just don't go because they're sick of school. They've been doing it for 12, 13 years. So I think we need to figure out what the kid wants to do. You see what I'm saying? No matter what it may be. Because some people will look at some of the ideas that children have. Well, I want to be an Alvin Ailey dancer. Are you serious? Man, if that's what that baby wants to be, then what do we need to do to help them get there? You see what I'm saying? If the kid wants to be a doctor, then look here, my friend, we need to get you over to the counselor because you may need to be jumping in these pre-AP courses, these AP courses. We need to get you going as fast as we can. You see what I'm saying? If the kid's like, well, I just want to be a football player, ain't nothing wrong with that. But I tell you what, before you can be a football player, you have to be a student. You have to be a student. Let's get your academics in order. Make sure that you understand the NCAA sliding scale. You see what I'm saying? What's your SAT score? And parents, stop waiting for your child to take the SAT when they're a senior. Your baby can take the SAT as early as the 7th grade. Stop. We just have to create a plan and a track to get them on, and we can get them wherever they're trying to go down.
Right. Good answer there. Let me do a follow-up real quick. As we know, once our children graduate high school, if they didn't drop out, once they graduate high school, they go on to college, and they spend 50% of their time in college trying to make sure they're going to be there for the next semester due to funding. And of course, they take all this debt, and a lot of them take up so much debt, and they get so distracted. A lot of them drop out, and they don't even graduate, even though they've got the Pell Grants and all the other good stuff. You have there in Houston, you have a lot of HBCU graduates, a lot of stuff that's going on there. What can you do as a school board person, or what's your opinion on trying to teach these kids how to do their funding before they get to college? Because I know when I was in college and I saw a lot of young people asking me questions, I'm like, well, there's all kinds of grants and loans or, and scholarships that are available. But, unfortunately, our kids, just like you just said, we wait till they're in their senior year, then they want to do all of this stuff. So, where's the mechanism, like having a grant writer or some kind of personnel, be it a volunteer or somebody that will help these kids find these scholarships that they need so they don't spend half of their time worrying about if they're going to stay in college versus, oh, I got to spend, I got to look for this scholarship, write this up and do that, when they can do that, before they even get there. What is your take on that?
I think your 9th grade year is the most important year of high school educationally, because that 9th grade year could make or break you. It could make or break your GPA. You see what I'm saying? And then therefore, if you broke, then you're not going to accomplish the goal at the end. What I did, and I used to do it just a lot. I would look at my community and how we operated. And then I would look at the white community and see how they operated. When I got into education, let me see what these people are doing that's different than what we're doing. When they have these parent meetings, parent university through the school district, they teach a lot of this. We don't participate. I'm on a Zoom call the other day in regards to the new superintendent with the search firm with a bunch of good white folk, and we trying to figure out the qualities that we want in the new superintendent. Ain't but 2 black people on the call. It's not like that information is not out there, Donovan. It is out there. We don't make it a priority to learn it, to figure out what we have to do to get our children ahead. So this is my thing, and I'm going to challenge people, because we got to figure out a way to work together in this world. And I figured it out on my end, just for me. If you want to know what it takes to get that funding, to figure out where that money is for your child to go to college, why don't you go visit a white school? Why don't you go talk to some of those white parents? Stop being standoffish, because every white person that sends their child to school is not rich either. And they got to figure some of this out too. So the thing is, we have to become more educated and more diligent in the fact that a lot of this information is out there, but we just not taking advantage of it.
Did you guys address Errol, how you doing? He wants the link, so if you can see it on the screen. Errol, the donate, the Zelle, there's a phone number, and the Cash App for $ Gerry Monroe. So again, you guys who are watching, we are in the smack dab middle of the second hour of a fundraiser, which means we need money. We need money. We need the money to make things happen, right? So in order to get Gerry to the school board, we need a little bit of money to buy things, to pay people, to canvas, just, everything that goes into a campaign. And, we would be very appreciative if you did that. Every little bit helps. As you guys also know, in the war zone, we have certain days, $2 Tuesday, $1 Wednesday, and, more money Monday. You name it, we have it. We are trying to raise every dime we can. So if you can
and no, Dimitri will not be strolling to the polls. We don't do the Democratic stuff, so we're not going to be doing all that.
And a lot of people need to understand that when you see them people out at them polls passing out them cards before you walk in there to vote, they pay them people. If I ain't got an army full of people like that, I can't win on election day. So it takes money to do this. And I need you to invest. I'm investing my own money. I mean, what I said the other day, I'm investing and putting another 500 in the hat. You see what I'm saying? But it takes money. These are your children, your community, your schools, your tax dollars. So now it's time to get somebody in there to give a damn about it.
I'm glad you just brought that up. That brings up another question. You're running for school board, and I saw last week or earlier this week where you put up your advertisement, and you said that you give a damn, and predominantly you say be one first. Could you kind of explain your stance on what that means in regards to, because some people are probably saying another person running, and he's an everybody candidate and all that other stuff like that. Could you kind of tell us a little bit about what does that mean that you give a damn?
I give a damn for a lot of reasons. I give a damn because I'm tired of begging for something that my tax money already paid for, which is a quality education for all children. So, I give a damn because if I don't give a damn, our kids are going to fall by the wayside, and they're already doing it. You see what I'm saying? You got to have somebody in office that wants to be a public servant, not a politician. I don't want to be the guy I'll take a picture with you. But you ain't going to never put the stick on my forehead where all he do is take pictures. No, you're going to see the work that I do. You're going to see me still in the community grinding, still raising hell, because I give a damn. I'm tired of situations being the way that they are. I'm 53 years old, and most of the stuff that I see in my community, I've been looking at it for the last 45 years. No, if you give a damn, if you want better, you do better. That's all it boils down to. And I'm tired of sitting back, being quiet, being friendly with these people who are governing us only to line their pockets. So if you're a vendor, I don't want your money. If you're a vendor, I'm not getting in bed with you. You're a politician, I'm going to do this for you, but I need a favor later on. I don't need your support. I need the support of the parents, the kids. If I got to raise money, it's going to come from the community. And it needs to come from the community, because if you're invested in me, you're invested in your community.
So, Gerry, talk about that a little bit more. Why would a politician or any lobbyist, for that matter, want to buy in to the educational system? What's in it for them to do that?
Money. The educational component is one of the most corrupt situations that you'll ever lay your eyes on. The Houston Independent School Board trustees operated for the last few years more like the Gambino crime family than like trustees. The administration of the Houston Independent School District has been caught several times over the last 20 to 30 years misappropriating money, and it's going into their pockets. So the local politician who wants to be slick and act like they have nothing to do with education wants to be involved in education, because when it comes time to have what's the word I'm looking for?
Influence?
No, there is no oversight. There's a lack of oversight when it comes to $2.89 billion for a bond. And then you wake up one morning and 300 million is gone. Where
No,
the hell it went?
no checks and balances where they want to have total
Exactly.
autonomy. Total
So
autonomy.
the local politician benefits from that because they'll just stick their nose in it. And then everybody's making money, but the kids ain't getting nothing out the deal. So I don't want to be friends with the politicians. When it comes to politicians, when it would come to my new colleagues, I want my new colleagues to understand it would be 9 of us. I want you to understand one thing. We can be like the Temptations. We don't have to like each other. We just need to sing to each other one Thursday night out the month. And we need to do it for the best interest of the kids. The politicians, go run your office and I'll run mine. I'm here for these kids and for these teachers. I don't have time to play the political games. Political games is what has the Houston Independent School District in the position that it's in right
now. Ron Williams has a question. He says, do you think when elected, you would have to leave the war zone?
Not at all. What I would have to do, and I can tell you this, I wouldn't be able to advocate on behalf of the children in the Houston Independent School District. But I want to make some of y'all, feel good. Fort Bend, Katy, Sci-Fair, Spring, Humble, you still gonna get the business. Ain't nothing finna change about how I do things. I'm gonna still advocate for kids, and I'm gonna still get out here and I'm gonna protest and I'm gonna march and I'm gonna mean what I say when I do it. I don't do it much. But ain't too much gonna change about how I do what I do. But leaving the war zone, man, please. When we go to the board meeting, we gonna be broadcasting live from the war zone, baby.
That's almost like something that you created. You're supposed to leave it. It's like how do you do that? It's something that you created. That's an excellent question there. Here in California, we have a very, very bad situation when it comes to minorities. And don't get me wrong, every child should have a adequate and good education, the best that we can provide and money can provide. But we have an influx of migrants that I want to say illegal because people get on their situation. And we have an influx of migrants that are coming into our school district. They do not speak the language. A lot of resources are going to people who, how do you say it? They're in the shadows. If you know where I'm going with that. What is your thought process on dealing with migrants that have come in? They're trying to get an education that, a lot of them are catching up, and everybody that's watching this, please remember this. A person that does not necessarily speak good English, they speak another language. So most Americans, we just speak one language and that's it. So, what is your thought on dealing with the migrant crossing coming into the school district and using up a lot of resources and a lot of animosity that goes in with that when you see a lot of this influx of a new group of people?
I tell you what, Wisdom High School is like the United Nations for immigrant kids. I mean, you can find almost every nationality, every country that you can imagine in Wisdom High School. And when I deal with kids from a different angle. I deal with my babies. They all become my babies. And I'm being honest with you. You've never heard me say it any differently. They all become my babies. The Houston Independent School District has embraced immigrant children, which I don't have a problem with. I think that if you're here and you want to be educated and you're peaceful, that's what needs to happen. And we need to support these children with everything in our power. You see what I'm saying? The only problem that I have with it is the immigrant kids sometimes end up on the poor side of town, and they end up in our situation where there's a lack of funding. There's not a high quality teacher. And I think that the child is being cheated at that point. So it doesn't matter if they're immigrant kids to me. I'm going to fight for them, and have been fighting for them with everything in my power, because the kids are very peaceful. Kids just want to be kids, man. And they just want to have fun, and they want to get educated. And I'm amazed that a kid that can come here that speaks zero English, 4 years after they get here, they're speaking 2 different languages. So they not in the classroom playing. You know what I'm saying? They in there, they grinding. So I'm on that kid's side. I think we have to do a better job at taking care of our kids, because sometimes we just in the middle of what we in the middle of. You feel what I'm saying? So with the kids being here, let's just go and support these kids, man. And if we do that, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Do you think that parents know just how important, especially Black parents, Black representation is in regards to being on the school board? And I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think because they don't know how important it is, they don't really turn out to vote like they should? Because we know, especially with us as Black people, we are more excited about the national elections than we are about the local and state elections. So do you think they're connecting how important somebody who sits on the school board that looks like them and is actually going to do the work that is good for them? Do you think they're understanding that?
No. Educational component is the component of government that is closer to the bottom of the totem pole than anything else. The Houston Independent School District is only used as a stepping stone for people to come in, wet their feet, so they can move on to a bigger and better political position. Or it's the, in military, Donovan, when you make your superior officer upset, and he tell you, I tell you what, I'm gonna send you to Greenland. That's HISD. When they done blew up everything else, they come running to HISD because there ain't nowhere else to go. So you end up with a lot of people sitting on the school board that don't have the knowledge that it takes to sit on the school board. One of my favorite school board members of all time since I've been in this game was a white Republican named Mike Lunsford. Mike had a passion for children. Mike understood the numbers. He knew the money, Demetri, like the back of his hand. He didn't have to sit in budgetary meetings to tell you that in 3 years y'all gonna be broke. If you do this, you're gonna be broke, and then we're gonna have a problem. Being a white Republican didn't matter to him because all he cared about was children. But he knew his job. He knew his job as a trustee. Our people don't understand that if you vote in the wrong person and they don't know what they're doing, these people will go up here and vote for things based on who gave them money. And if they do that, it's not in the best interest of the child. It's in the best interest of the company that gave them money. So now, like right now, people can't understand why the teachers union is being quiet with this PUA cut. Where they're going to take money out the classrooms because of the pandemic, because of kids not being there. They don't understand why the school, the teachers union is quiet. Well, the only people raising hell on behalf of the teachers union is the school board members who they endorsed and gave money to. But they know that what they're asking the people to get behind them with is totally wrong. Our people have to become more educated on the system and how it operates and how it affects us when certain decisions are made. You see what I'm saying? We got to get more involved. There was a question earlier about rezoning. What did I think about rezoning? Well, I'll tell you this. It's the art of stealing kids. Schools are funded based on the number of kids that sit in the classrooms. So if your school on your side of town is hurting on enrollment, then what could you do to get more kids? Could you go out? Could you market and promote? Could you hire Demetri to help you market and promote? No, that ain't gonna work. The easiest thing to do is rezone. Take that line from right here, where your school sits under it, and you only got this many kids. But I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna shift that line up here. So now you got access to all these kids. That happened to Yates in Lamar. Lamar enrollment was low. Lamar sits right next door to St. Thomas, where Ted Cruz's daughter goes to school. Well, those people didn't want to send their kids over there to Lamar, with those kids coming from the Black community. So their enrollment was low. So what did the Houston Independent School District do? They rezoned and took half of Yates's population. Half of Yates's population. Now, is that true, Donovan and Demetri? A few years ago, Lamar made the state championship in football. I counted the number of kids that came out the tunnel. 110 kids walked out the tunnel in Cowboy Stadium. 90 of those kids was on the Yates. But then you tell us, well, you're not getting a lot of money because at Yates you don't have enough kids enrolled. Well, rezone it and put it back where it was so we can get our kids back. Rezoning is the art of stealing kids. So when you steal kids, and the crazy part, Demetri and Donovan, they'll steal them from August to the last day in October. Why? Because then they got the money for them. Once they get the money for them, they kick them out. They send them back where they're supposed to be, but the money doesn't follow them. Now, that's something legislatively we need to talk about. Because if you're going to kick them out after 2 months after you get the money, then the money needs to follow the child. And yeah, rezoning tax purposes too, Crystal Mendoza, no doubt. No doubt. But I'm telling you, in our neck of the woods, they do it to fill up their schools so that they can get more money from the state, from the district, because of their enrollment. We need to rezone so that it can be fair. That's another reason that's another way how you create equity is through rezoning.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Recently, I was looking at the map of the Houston Independent School District tracts and the ethnicity and how it's broken down. It's almost as if the Blacks and Hispanics are on one side of the city, and then you got the whites in a small area over there and all this other stuff. And the Asians are very, very small. With the current status of, we know it's not true, but the Asian hate and all this stuff that is supposedly going on. If you're a school board member, and I'm not saying that's going on in the schools, but that's this thing that's happening out there that this narrative that they're trying to create. Asians are a small population. They are in the school districts. How would you address this type of narrative that is going on within the schools in regards specifically to Asians?
Now, I'm going to answer that, but I got to be diplomatic in how I do. And you change kids' behavior when you change adult behavior. Watch this. There's no way that I can address Asian hate until I address the hate of the Blacks and the Latinos that sit on the school board. Let's be straight with it. It is some disrespect. It's some hate going on up there. So when it comes down to the Asians, our Asian community and population are one of the most peaceful in the school district. I've not heard of any ethnicity attacking Asians, teachers, Asian children, nothing. Mandarin, we have a whole Mandarin school, one of the most high-performing schools in the country. That doesn't exist in our environment. But if it did exist, it needs to stop right now. Any type of hate. Before I can address Asian hate, let's address the hate of Black people and Black students. The number of Black kids that have been taken to jail wrongfully or beat up on campuses by administrators and by police officers. Let's address the fact that Black children are attacked on a daily basis, going to school, coming from school, at school. If we're going to stop it, we're going to stop it across the board. Not one ethnicity will be addressed and be prioritized over the rest. We're going to look at everything across the board, and we're going to get it all out of the building.
Yeah, again, you guys, we are in the middle of a fundraiser, so please hit the Cash App or the Zelle or any other way that you can to support this campaign. As you can see, Gerry is on his game, and he has the answers that you need, especially to help move education forward in District 9. There are a lot of challenges that need to be met and that need to be changed. So let's do all we can to help make that happen? So Gerry, I know we talked about it the last time, but exactly how much are we looking at to help you run a successful campaign?
To be honest with you, man, I think if we raise a good 25K, we'll be okay. It's just raising the money, man, because I don't know what I had no clue that my little 900 would scare the hell out of one Adams last time, and they needed $60,000 to beat me. The other day I was on a program and I wanted to talk directly to my Tejano community. I'm talking to everybody, and I'm making it make sense. You see what I'm saying? But we need about a good 25, and we're doing good so far. But you never know with who they might throw in the race or what they might do. They might this time might go out and get billboards on. Who knows? But I know we need signs, we need postcards, we need everything. And we just gotta do what we gotta do. But I'm so grateful for whatever we get that we gonna make it happen. But I don't want nobody to take that for granted. Oh, well, they didn't raise enough. We don't need to donate. No. I need your help. I need your help. You need to understand it. Okay, and I talked to Dr. Muhammad this morning, who will be on the show on the 7th with Troy Fenner, our new police chief, that we are not going to allow Houston to get to 500 murders. We're not going to do it. But if we don't fix our educational component, we well on our way. So yeah, we got to raise a few dollars, Demetri, that's not a lot. If we just do what we need to do, it's not a lot. We could raise that and we're ready to rock and roll.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, my donation plan is I've figured out how to donate a significant amount until we get to the election board. So I'm going to give you guys a good example. I donated $25 today. I might donate $25 on Wednesday, and I just break it up every week. And then by the time this campaign is done, I've contributed a significant amount of money just based on $25. But if you can only donate $5, try to do that and just work your way up. Some of you just got a stimulus. Hey, we're not asking for a lot. Take $25 out of that stimulus and put it toward the future of the kids in Houston. That, stuff just like that. Some of y'all went to the casino, hit some money. Hey, drop $100 in there for the future of the kids in Houston. But that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to continue to do that until we get to election day. And then when Gerry gets on that board, we're going to do a lot of great stuff when we get there. But here's a serious question.
Let me say this here. Do you think your money would be spent wisely? Barack Obama, Joe Biden, you donated. But then, like when Obama left, I didn't get nothing for my money. I want you to think about all the stuff that I've done without sitting in office. All the fights that I fought without being in office. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to guess on what I'm going to do. It's going to get done. Because I don't know how to fail. And if I fail, then the kids fail. So yeah, your money would be spent wisely. And when I walk out of there after maybe 8 years, if I do 2 terms and I come up out of there, we will be able to look back and be proud of what Gerry Monroe did while he was your representative. And then you'll be screaming the new song, Demetri. He needs to run for something else.
The proof will be in the pudding. And like I said, how will we know unless we get them on the board? We will never know. So we got to get them on that board. But I have a question that we know it was a controversy that happened on the school board. You had a school board member that basically said something to another school board member there, and it was of a racial tone. And then, of course, you had a school board member that didn't live in the district that she was supposed to live in. And, all of this stuff is going on. Could you kind of tell me, if you were sitting on the school board, if you were sitting on there and your constituents, this kind of stuff is going on, how would you address that? Not only to your constituents, but how would you address that to your district as somebody that you're accountable to?
So they're in the middle of an argument. This is what you're saying to me. First of all, I understand Robert Rules of Order when you conduct meetings. First of all, I want a point of order. Madam President, I'm requesting a point of order at that point. Basically, I need this to stop right now. I need this to stop right now. Madam President, if we need to, can we go into closed session? Because we're not going to project this negative image to the people out there that actually put us in office. You go in closed session back. You're not going to do this on this floor. That has happened too many times in the last 4 years where it happened right there. No, some discussions don't need to happen in the public forum. That's why you have closed session. You see what I'm saying? And see that what's going to amaze people is the fact that they think I'm combustible. They think I can't handle myself in a business setting, which is not true. You've never dealt with me in a business setting. Now, I will tell you that I'm a shark. I swim around guppies all day. I eat you guppies up. Because once I know what I know, I'm going to fight for what's right. But to do it on the floor in the middle of everybody, all you got to ask for is a point of order. If you understand Robert Rules of Order, when you're conducting these meetings, that's the problem. I don't need to lean over and ask the attorney, the lady that's over this, what should we do? I already know. I need a point of order, Madam President. And that stops it right there. If that item is too hot, I make a motion to table this item. We're going to get it off of here. We can come back and discuss this later.
Now, let's say in regards to you have a board member that is illegally on the board and you are a member, because it just seems like it's a fraternity and nobody wants to say anything in regards to how this person got their position and all that. And I'm not saying call her out, but how would you handle a situation like that? Because if you're a fraternity, you're on the board when you win, you're on the board when you lose. And if somebody's, doing something that is nefarious, how would you address that situation?
The same way I've always addressed it. I'd research it. If it ends up being true, then one, I'm going to go to that colleague in private. This is what I found out. I plan on exposing it. You're in violation of the law at this point. I recommend you step down. Don't make me do this in public. If you do it quietly, that's where it stays. If you choose not to, then I will call a press conference and expose everything that I need to expose.
So, Gerry, are you, because I know you have 120,000 things to do, right? So are you more so running because you want to, or are you more so running because the people that are in there now aren't doing a great job? Which is it more of?
Well, the main reason I'm running because the community kept hitting me, calling me, inboxing me. We need you to run. We want you to run. And I didn't want to run because one, I got cheated last time. I felt that way. We discussed that last time. And two, I felt the community didn't come out and support like they were supposed to support. If I'm going to get out here and put myself out there, then let's go to work. But right now, I'm running because the community wants me to run, which is the highest priority to me. Secondly, I'm running because we need a male presence on the school board. I'm sick of the female cat fights every month. They don't seem like they can get along, whether it's in private, in closed session, or in a general meeting. We need a male presence on the school board. And then lastly, it's just time for some of these people to go. They are not good for kids. They don't make good decisions for children, and they need to go. So I'm really running two campaigns, Mr. Dimitri. I'm running one to get me on, and then I'm running another to get 4 of them off. So guess what? I can't lose in this election.
All right, because like I was saying, I know it takes a lot of work, effort, and time to, for one, run, and for one to run. Okay, for one to run, and then once you get elected, to actually, do the duties of that. And if I've never ran for office, but I've been involved in campaigns, and I don't think people really realize the work that goes into just everything, getting there and being there. And so I would say most people who run for any office, maybe they want to do it because they're passionate and they have other reasons. Have you ever been accused of having any disingenuous reasons of running for office?
No, because everybody knows I'm not the guy that has bounced around and ran for everything. I ain't run for city council. I ain't run for controller. I ain't run for school board. The only thing I've ever ran for is school board. I'm an education advocate. So they know I have a passion for children. I love children. I love to see children excel. I love to see a smile on my special needs kids' faces. You know, I've dealt with a lot of special needs children, and some of these kids are so intelligent that it's amazing. And when they're in a bad mood, it puts me in a bad mood. So when I can see that child smile and that parent say, "Well, Mr. Monroe, can you help us?" And I don't have no money, ma'am. I didn't ask you for nothing. I'm doing this for this baby. You know, and then that baby comes and gives me a hug. That's payment enough for me. So I have the passion, and it's all because I think that our children deserve the best in every aspect. Am I the best? I'm the Michael Jordan of this game. Let's get it straight. I ain't finna not say I'm not the best at what I do. I may not do it traditionally. You see what I'm saying? But I get it done. And I'll read a comment that Errol put up. Is too big. It'll cover us up. He said, Gerry has heart for the people, especially black people. We are voting for a passionate hearted, high skill set black man. The people should rush to the polls like this was an Obama candidacy. What does that tell you? I will stop what I'm doing to help a child. Now, I ain't gonna stop what I'm doing to help some of you grown folk, but I'm gonna stop what I'm doing to help these babies. So it's just me having the passion, wanting to get some folk out, put somebody on the school board for a limited amount of time to help try to right this wrong and get this ship sailing again.
I want to touch upon something that he said in regards to high skill set. Talk about, tell us what that is exactly. And do you think that's lacking on the school board now, a high skilled set?
A high skill set, I really wouldn't know what he meant by that, but I'll take a shot at it. One, I mastered the educational game. I mean, before I can speak on a subject, I need to figure out what that subject is all about. So I mastered all the policies, all the procedures that it takes to run the school system. I know the job of a trustee. We only have 3 job functions, and that's it. So outside of that scope, you know, you're really more community oriented. I also have respect for the position that I have to sit in, because unlike a lot of other political offices, you're gonna work your behind off being a school board rep. You're gonna work your behind off because you're only supposed to go to 4 meetings a month. 4 meetings a month by law. But a lot of times these folks are going to 16, 17 meetings a month. So you're going to work your behind off. The skill set is one, I understand the financial part of it. I understand how the money works. So, you know, even in the African-American community, some days you're not going to get all that you want because the numbers don't dictate. You know, a high skill set is clearly taking that information and making people understand and buy into the fact this is the way that we have to do it. You see what I'm saying? Now, do I think that some of the other ones on the school board, let me put it to you like this here. You might have 3 on the school board that I rightfully respect. Respect their efforts, respect what they do, respect their grind, how they work, and all of them not African Americans. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to embarrass them by calling them out by names. But if I jumped on tomorrow, you give me 6 months and I'm going to be the top school board rep in the building. And I only need the 6-month gaps just to get my feet wet so that I can get acclimated. You see what I'm saying? But having the skill set to even debate me, you could be on the school board. You got people been there 4 years. I guarantee you couldn't put them in a room right now and talk education with me. I'd eat them up. I'd eat them up because, one, you're disingenuous. You didn't make those decisions because you cared about kids. You made those decisions because you cared about a vendor. So yeah, Demetri, for real, man, I strapped these Jordans up. I'm the best in the building. Put me in there, man. No disrespect to y'all. Do your job, hone your craft, and you too could walk around with a microphone on your arm and say that you're the best to ever do it. You put me in there, I'm gonna be the best school board rep you ever seen, besides the great Hattie Mae White.
I do know that's right. So, do you think people that get elected, especially something like the school board, are getting elected because people vote or don't vote?
Because people don't vote. Elections for school boards never have a high turnout. They're always done in an off year. You see what I'm saying? So, it's because they don't vote. And the ones that do vote, normally it's about name recognition or what church they went to or what fraternity or sorority they're in. And now you see the results of picking people for those reasons. You're inches away from the Texas Education Agency taking over your school district. No, you got to put highly qualified people in office. And I don't care what color they are, you need to put the best person in office.
Absolutely. So what's the ground game look like? I mean, I don't know if you want to give those secrets away on here, but can you talk about what your ground game is going to entail to wake up potential voters, parents, and anybody else who has the ability to vote for you?
And you finna see them out there in t-shirts. You finna see them out there in bow ties. They drive school buses. They teachers. We finna hit the ground running, and we gonna let the world know it's time out for all the BS. It's time to put this man on the school board where he rightfully deserves. So when they put them bow ties on, you know who going to war for me. You see what I'm saying? Them school bus drivers. You know who fought to make sure that your facilities were in order, where you were treated different on them grounds and making sure that your buses were safe. You police officers in the school district, you remember the raise that you needed when you were the 13th lowest paid in all of the surrounding areas? You remember who went to war for you? They coming from everywhere. And they coming because this ain't a Joe Biden moment. We don't have to guess what Gerry Monroe has done. We don't have to see if we need to hold him accountable, because he's been holding people accountable. These parents, these kids, I got a team full of soldiers, and they willing to walk. They willing to talk, because somewhere in there, they realize one thing, Miss Coulter, I didn't have to do it. I only did it because I gave a damn.
So I see a couple of questions here, and so I'm going to ask you this real quick. Speaking of accountability, what is your open door policy going to be like when you're elected?
Let me say this here, man. It's hard for me to keep a woman. You know why? Because I got an open phone policy. What that mean? My phone can ring all night long. I answer that phone 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. For parents, for kids, and even school board trustees. Open door policy is simple. Just call me. I stop what I'm doing. I work for myself. Let's have a discussion. But I need people to understand what you ask of certain politicians. Just know if they can and cannot do it. You see what I'm saying? What you're asking of a state representative may be something that you need to ask your city council person. You see what I'm saying? When you're dealing with, crime in your community, you need to be dealing with the local. So when you come to me and ask me something, understand that I can't fire a teacher. I can't fire a principal. But what I can do is have a conversation and make the administration aware of your concerns. And, normally when I bring something to the administration, they normally jump on it anyway and take care of it. So, yeah, man, I don't have a problem having an open door policy. I got that now, man. What it do? Just call your boy. One thing about it, you can put the tag on the shirt, HISD trustee, but I'm still old Gerry Monroe. Pick up the phone and holler at your boy, man.
So let me get to a few of these questions. Earl, he asked, when is the election?
November 2nd.
So talk about the dynamics of that day. Like, is it a 9 to 5? What are the ins and outs?
That day, unless some laws change next Thursday, not next Thursday, but they're changing some election laws. That day is normally 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I'm bad knee and all. If it's still hurting, I'm gonna leave it on the floor. I'm gonna bounce from pole to pole. I want to talk to people as you going in. Let's have this quick 15-second talk. Remind you who you need to vote for. Don't fall for the okie doke. If we lose education right now, if we lose a grasp on education in the Houston Independent School District right now, we will never recover from the crime rate that is going to.
And then let's see here. He says, what are laws for an organization to raise money for a candidate?
Man, go raise the money you want to raise. You donate me what you want to donate. Say, man, let me tell you something, man. You do whatever you choose to do. The one thing I'm not dealing with PACs and all that stuff. I don't want to deal with that. If Errol wants to donate me some money, can't nobody tell Errol how much money he can donate me. Do what you need to do on your end and donate to your boy so I can go get these shirts and make sure my people got water at the polls. I don't care what the law change. I'm going to make sure my poll workers got water. And I want to say something about this here because I used to be a poll worker. If you work for Gerry Monroe, you will be treated with the utmost respect because I come from where you come from. Even when I'm not working the polls, I still go out to the polls. I still bring water. I still buy people food. You see what I'm saying? Because that's just the way that I was built. And I know how they're treated at the polls. So kudos to my poll workers, expect to be treated with respect and kindness.
So let me jump in here real quick. Sorry about that, you guys. My system went down. I don't know what was going on with that. But let me ask you this. Now, in regards to your, campaign and stuff, now here you are a school board, you're running for school board membership and stuff. Wouldn't this be a good time also to get those students who are interested in the political process involved with campaigning and how it works? So would you be opposed to having students help you in your campaign?
No, I work with kids better than I work with adults. So if any youngster that want to, and kids reach out to me all the time because they know who I am. They know what I do. The funniest thing ever happened to me, an assistant principal called me from a school one day and she told me, she said, I'm sick of you. I say, why? She said, because every time I tell one of these kids something, they say, you keep talking, I'm going to call Mr. Monroe. I say, I ain't never been in your school. So yeah, I work with kids better than I work with adults. And I would love for kids to be involved. They need to be involved because that's where we gonna train our next set of politicians that once they learn the game.
So if you guys who are watching it, thank you so much for being here for this time watching and or watching Gerry answer questions so well. If you guys have any more questions that you guys want us to address, we're going to have these fundraisers every month up until November, election day. So if you guys can think of anything you want addressed, any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and put them in the comment section. Because it's Donovan and I, but sometimes we run out of things to ask too. And a lot of you may have some kids in the school district and you might have a concern that we haven't addressed here. So it'd be nice if you could do that. Also, do your best to spread the word about Gerry. You let people know because, that's part of the ground game too, is word of mouth. Most time we get things in the mail, especially during election time. And if you like me, you look at the front, you look at the back, flip it over a couple times, you throw it away, So nothing is more effective to me, in my opinion. I'm in public relations, so I know a little bit about it, than word of mouth. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your somebody who may have kids in the school system, especially District 9, that can benefit from someone like Gerry sitting on that seat. We have got to do a good job, especially with our people, of waking them up, because Black people especially have become very apathetic in regards to politics. We're just like, well, it's what, I don't know, could have had a V8. We just kind of not to care. But we need to get out there, especially those of us who have a high skill set in communications and knows the issues. We need to get out there and start talking to people. Hey, did you know that Gerry, Monroe is running for District 9 seat for the Board of Education? No, I don't even know who that is. Oh, wow. Well, do you have a minute? Let me tell you about, those type of things. And do you know why it's important to have somebody who looks like you? And even if he doesn't look like you, somebody who thinks like you on that seat. Do you know why that's important? And start having those conversations, because a lot of people, they only think of the national election or maybe the mayor and rarely the city council, but the things like the school board seats and all the other things, people just don't even think they're important, even if they have children that are going to those schools that will be served by that school district. They just don't know. And so it's up to us to get the word out, because ultimately those children that are going to those schools and they're graduating from those schools, they are going to go out into the future, and they are going to be our future. And we have to ask ourselves, do we want a great future or do we want a horrible future? Really stemming from the education part of it, stemming from the education that those children got or did not get. So it's up to us right now to chart a different course simply by getting out there and talking to people about what's going to happen on November 7th.
Do you know what's really shocking and funny to me, Demetra? I'm out here in California, and I share the war zone out here on my platforms here in California. And I share it with some people that are on the school board here in my area. And a lot of them say, man, we can only wish we had an advocate like that, because when you were here, remember, we had Louise Palomedes, school advocate. This woman didn't give a damn about nobody but her corrupt friends and family. And I talk to people out here in our school because we have a graduation rate of low 70s. If they graduate at all, low 70s. It's a major Hispanic area now. The Black kids are almost non-existent. Black people are leaving California, by the way. So it's a wrap here for Black people because we don't have the economic wealth. But when I talk to these other parents and people, and then they say, who is that guy on your show? And I said, the 5-star. They go, yeah, the 5-star. They talk about him, say, man, if we had more people and people like him on our school board, our kids would be so much better. And the reason why we say that in my district, we've had pimps on the school board. We've had panderers on the school board. We've had crooks on our school board. We had nobody looking out for our children. So I'm just going to tell you people there in Houston, you guys do not know how lucky you are to have a homegrown candidate. He's not just a person like me who moved to Houston. I've lived there for 10 years. All of a sudden, I think I know what I'm talking about. No, you got a person that even went through the school district his damn self. So he knows what's going on, And I'm just going to be seeing you guys. If this man does not get on that school board, man, you guys are really, really doing a disservice to your students. Because again, when you have somebody that's homegrown from the area, that knows the area and knows the lay of the land, you have a great candidate and a great advocate. So I'm strongly recommend that. But I'm gonna tell you, here in California, people know who the 5-star is. They talk about him all the time. So,
well, I'm not beyond going to Cali and getting down for the kids out there either. I ain't got no problem going. I mean, when it come to kids, I'm gonna just be there, man. Somebody was there for me. Them old coaches, them old teachers, my uncles were there for me. And I ended up turning out pretty decent. I didn't get everything right, but it could have been worse. So this is just my way of giving back to these kids, man. Somebody gave it to me. I got to put it in them. And trust me, I got a few that I done put it in, baby, that they ready. You know, people the other day looking at us like when we had little Kyrie on the show. Man, give her 10 years. Watch when she turned 18, 19 years old. You're gonna see what I see. You know what I'm saying? I got another one, my homeboy Kendrick Owens, his niece. She was battling the school system and she was at HPVA, I think it was. And that baby then went off to college and then graduated, historically black, and now she back in the city. I told her, when you gonna run for city council? Ain't no sense of waiting. You see what I'm saying? You got to put it in them, man. Our next set of politicians, and I think the change agents that we need are sitting right amongst us every day. And if I happen to be one of them just for a little bit and get the ball rolling, that's all I want to be. I just want to be the guy that can help get the ball rolling. I mean, I'm still going to be me at the end of the day. And I think y'all have seen that I can handle myself in every setting. So don't let the people lie to you. Monroe, you ain't never seen Monroe curse on a live camera. I ain't the one that's on hot mic saying all kind of craziness. No, that ain't Monroe. But I tell you
Right.
what, you've never seen me in a business setting. You've never seen me behind closed doors when I got to negotiate $1 million deals. I tell you what, man. If I don't win, I ride off into the sunset because I'll never run again for sure. Because these kids are going to hurt, and the landscape of education will forever change if we don't get the right people on the school board.
Absolutely. And real quick, somebody emailed me this real quick or text me this real quick. They say this pandemic is going to last a little bit, probably into your election. So when you're sitting on the school board right now as a candidate, what is your ideas in dealing with the pandemic, the immunizations? Because right now they're saying that, well, if they're at least 16 and above, they should get immunized, but anything below that. But as a school board member and as a candidate, what is your ideas in how to deal with the pandemic and getting kids back into school, into the desks full time?
I think the biggest thing that we need to do is understand that this is the new normal. It ain't no going back. This is the new normal. So how can we go from here? I think the mask thing in the school system should be optional. You know, the governor has opened up the state of Texas, and if a school system decides that, you know, we still want to be safe, but they can't force the kids to wear them, make it an optional situation. If you want to wear your mask, you wear your mask. We one thing we need to do is use our own judgment. You know, when it comes to this, as far as vaccinations, I'm never going to force anybody to be vaccinated. I'm never telling folks that you should not take the vaccine. You shouldn't take it. No, I'm not going to tell you that. What I'm going to tell you is I didn't take it. I'm comfortable where I'm at. If you choose to take it, that's your business. You know, but we have to accept where we are with this pandemic because we are in our new normal. You know, Demetra has to now incorporate masks into her diva attire. Some days that's what it's got to be now. You know what I'm saying? We can't take the chance anymore because I don't want to play politics, remember? But you got some people playing politics. Then you got some people like North Korea telling Joe Biden, if you keep messing with us, we got something for you. So no, we can't. It's the new normal. So, you know, I've embraced it. I've found things that I can wear that make me comfortable. You know, at first I hated them little blue masks. I hated them things, man. But when I figured out I could go to the gun store and get the mask to put on my face, and okay, I can live with this. You know, it ain't an issue for me. So I just want people to understand we are where we are, and just know that even though that you don't like it, we're not where we want to be either. So we're just gonna have to figure this out together.
Absolutely. So the next minute that we have here, what do you want the people to know? What most importantly?
I give a damn. I give a damn. I'm not saying this from a political standpoint. Look at my track record. Look at my work. There's nobody sitting in the seats, all 9 of them. There's nobody that's going to run that has dealt with education like I have dealt with education in the last 9 years. That is my track record. That is my legacy, is what I love to do. And at the end of the day, let's go in the office together, because you have a voice when I get in there. You're going to tell me how to vote. What other politician does that? No. We either fix education right now. Like Donovan tells us, in 12 years, we're going to be broke as Black people. I'm going to tell you in 4 years, if you got the wrong people on this HISD school board, you won't fix education. You may resemble New Orleans with a city full of charter schools.
So how do we do today on the fundraising before we get out of here?
We raised, hold on, let me go up in here. Don't want to. Today we raised $360.
All right now. All right. Woo-hoo. Good job, everybody.
That's 360 we didn't have.
Yes, indeed. So, you know, after today, if you didn't get a chance, if you're going to watch this back, you always have an opportunity to do it. The donation line is always open, of course, Monday through Friday on the War Zone. We are raising money for the election, and we give you an opportunity to do it all week long. So we thank you guys so much for being here. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit one of us up, and we'll be more than happy to address you. But we will see you guys Monday night on the War Zone. See y'all later. Right.